Tonight for dinner, we are having homemade hamburgers. I absolutely love burgers. They are obviously one of the most customizable things that you can make. You can put whatever toppings you want on it, which means everybody in the house is happy, which is the most ideal dinner that I can think of. I cook mine on a flat top. I've got a flat top that actually just sits on top of my stove. So I only have one thing to wash, and I can't wash it right now because it's too hot. So it lets me just sit down and enjoy dinner, and then I'll wash it a little bit later. My favorite toppings, of course, are bacon. You can't have a good burger without bacon. And I really like to grill onions and jalapeños together. I'll put pickles, I'll put tomatoes if I have some. He does not like any of those toppings. He actually just likes bacon, cheese, and barbecue sauce. Oh, and pickles. He puts pickles too. But burgers are just they're super customizable. It's like pizza, but easier. You get to pick your own toppings. Let me know in the comments below what kind of toppings you guys enjoy on your burgers. So the first thing I'm going to do for my burgers is I'm going to prep my vegetables. These are going to take the longest to cook. I like these to cook a little bit slower. All I'm going to do is slice up some onions, and I like these to kind of caramelize a little bit. And I like a lot of onions. I'm doing about maybe a little under a third of this large onion. And then I also really like to add on some grilled jalapeños to my burger, so I'm going to do that as well. I'm going to cut up a couple of these. I would probably normally only do about one jalapeno per person, but I like a lot of jalapeno on mine, and it's going to shrink down while it cooks. So I'm just doing kind of one medium one and one smaller one. And I'm just going to give these a slice, same as the onions. And then the last topping I'm going to cut up is just a tomato. And I'm not going to do anything with this. I'm just going to slice it up and then set it in the fridge to keep it cool. This is just a good time to cut it before I have any raw meat on my cutting board. And I'll use the second half of this for something else another day, and I will use the rest of this onion for something else as well. All right, my flat top is heating up on the stove behind me. I'm gonna go ahead and throw these on so that these can start to caramelize, and then we will get started on on the rest of our toppings and our beef patties. I already had some bacon cut in my freezer, so that's what we're gonna use. But just so you can see what I do, I really like to, oh, actually this is not cut bacon. So this is just full slices of bacon. When I prep my bacon for burgers, I just like to cut it in half. These two halves tend to cook at different speeds, and I just find it easiest if I can control that a little bit more. And I think a full slice of bacon is too long to go on a burger anyways. I'm gonna do a little bit extra. This is 4 slices. It's 8 slices total. We're not actually going to eat 8 slices, but I bet my dog will eat the rest of it, and probably my cats. All right, I've got all of my bacon prepped, and now for the meat. I really like to use 85% ground beef. I actually use 85% for just about everything that I make with ground beef. And for burgers, we're actually only going to be using half of this. And I'm going to make probably some meatballs with the other half later this week. I'm just going to eyeball it here. Yeah, that's fine. And I'll save that other half for meatballs later. And then we're each just having one burger. So I'm just going to split this into 2. And same thing again, I'm just going to eyeball it. You don't want to mix the meat around too much. We're gonna season it once it's been shaped into patties. But I like to kind of turn it into a ball. It helps me see easier if these are about the same size. You can weigh them if you want. I just make 1/4 pound patties. I just don't want to do that tonight. All right, these are good. I'm gonna wash my hands, pack up this ground beef, and then we're gonna shape these patties. So I shaped my burger patties a little different. I got this tortilla press from Goodwill like 5 or 6 years ago. And then I found out that you're not supposed to use it for flour tortillas. You're only supposed to use a press for corn tortillas. And so it just sat on my shelf for a really long time. And I just decided to try it out for a hamburger patty and see if I could make like pre-made, pre-smashed Smashburgers. And it turns out that it works out really, really well. My patties are super thin, so they cook really, really fast, and they also shrink down when I use the 85% ground beef, they shrink down to bun size basically perfectly every single time. And I don't push too hard. I just kind of let the weight of the press do it. And that's it. I know this looks like a giant hamburger patty, but I promise it's going to shrink down to the right size. And I like to flip it around because it tends to push it all away from the hinged part. And if I flip it around, then I get even pressure across the whole thing, and it goes back to round instead of just being oval. So my patties are ready. I'm going to season these. I'm gonna let them sit for a little while I throw my bacon on the flat top, and then we will be back to cook these at the end. So my onions are a little over halfway cooked. I've just laid my bacon down, and I've set a big flat spatula on them to try and kind of keep them from curling up a little bit. To season these patties, I keep it really, really simple. I'm just gonna do a thin layer of garlic powder. And you don't have to be super, super generous here because these are gonna shrink down a lot. Their surface area is gonna be cut in half. And we're gonna season the other side too. These are super, super thin, so they will get plenty of seasoning with just this. So garlic powder, and then just black pepper, and then just a little bit of salt. And if you're not sure how fast your salt comes out of your container, put it in your hand first and then sprinkle it with your hand. Don't do this. All right, I'm gonna let these sit for a little while. Once my bacon is almost done, then we're gonna throw these patties on, and then we'll toast up the buns, and dinner will be done. All right, my bacon is basically done, so I'm just gonna set it aside. The flat top that I'm using goes directly over my 4 burners, so this middle section is actually a lot cooler. Nothing is going to cook in there, but it is going to keep everything nice and warm. If you are using an electric flat top or just frying pans, just make sure you take your bacon out and set it on a paper towel lined plate to keep it from overcooking. And overcooking means make sure your bacon is still soft. We are a soft bacon household, and if you like your bacon crispy and burnt, then you can go ahead and do that with your own bacon in your own home. Now that that's all off, I'm going to go ahead and set my burger patties down, and these are actually going to cook right in the bacon grease. And I just like to press on it on the other side of the parchment paper to kind of let it come free. And I'm going to drop the other one down on the back burner. And then we're also going to season these sides just like we did the other with a little bit of garlic powder. And some black pepper. And then just a little bit of salt. And you can already see how much these have shrunk down just in the first 20 seconds of being on the heat. I'm going to go ahead and give these a flip so I can see what the other side looks like. It's getting a little bit brown, which is perfect. That's going to cook fast. Those should be done probably in about 2 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and get some butter on my buns, and we're going to toast these on here as well. So I really like these brioche hamburger buns, but definitely use your favorite hamburger buns here. I've just put a little bit of butter on these, and I'm just going to set them on my flat top. I just want them to get a little bit toasted and warmed through while everything else finishes cooking. All right, these have been cooking for a few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and get them flipped over, and then while these brown on the other side, I'm going to get everything assembled. On one of them, we will be putting lots of bacon. And then 1 slice of cheese. And I like to put the bacon under the cheese because then the cheese kind of holds it all in place. And then on the other one, we will just be putting all of our onions and jalapeños. And then I'm just going to put some bacon on top of those. This one does not get any cheese. And then the rest of that bacon I will cut up for, maybe not the rest of it, some of that bacon I will cut up for my animals because they absolutely love bacon. Let's check on these buns. These are toasting really nicely. I'm just going to kind of rotate them so that they can get toasted evenly. That one's done, so I'm going to pick it up upside down. The same with that one. So while these last two toast, my cheese will melt and then we will assemble our burgers. So everything is done. It's just time for assembly. My buns are very nicely toasted, and in order to keep them from steaming right away on the plate, I like to set them on a paper towel just for a few minutes to kind of just prevent some of that steam from gathering. And then I'm going to lay down my hamburger patties, and then it is just time to top them as you please. We will be having pickles. Both of us will be having pickles on ours. I really don't like to put wet pickles on my burger, so I am going to actually use this exact same paper towel that the buns were on, and I'm just going to kind of dry off some of that pickle juice. And I like a lot of pickles. Just only use what you're going to use, but I'm going to eat all of these pickles. And just like that, dinner is done. These burgers are pretty fast and they're pretty easy, and my patties shrank down to perfect bun size. Make fries if you want fries for a side. Make onion rings if you want onion rings for a side. But these are just absolutely wonderful. Burgers are one of my favorite meals, and I am so excited to eat these. I keep it really simple. I've just put ketchup, mayonnaise, mustard, bacon, onions, jalapeños, pickles. I guess that's not all that simple, but you know, classic burger stuff on mine. He will be having barbecue sauce on his. That is his go-to burger, so I won't be eating that, but cheers. I love a good burger, and it's even better when it's messy. I've got so many toppings and no cheese to hold it all together, so I know it's going to be a little messy, but that's all right. This is going to be a fantastic Saturday night dinner. I am going to go sit down and eat. And of course, we cannot forget our pets. This is Joey the dog's plate and Leroy the cat's plate on bacon cheeseburger night. They both love their bacon cheeseburgers. If this is something that you want to do for your animals, absolutely feel free to do it. This is something that we like to do for our animals once in a while because it makes them very, very happy.